Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be going over and talking about the Orioles' 4-1 win over the Chicago White Sox. This is the first game of a 3-game series against the White Sox this week. Game 2 is tomorrow, Game 3 is on Wednesday, and we are nearing the end of baseball season now for the Orioles. It kind of just really hit me today that this really is the end of baseball season. We have less than 2 weeks now until the Orioles season will be over. Obviously the Orioles season technically is already over, but until the final game of the season, at least the final game of the regular season, we're not going to be going over any sort of October baseball regarding the Orioles. Unfortunately, the Orioles are not going to be making the playoffs, so there's no reason to talk about the Orioles October baseball because there will be no Orioles October baseball. But we have like 12 days left until the end of the season for the Orioles, so it's kind of giving off like end of the school year vibes, like last day of school, like last day of class vibes. And the reason why I say that is because like when you're at the end of school, your finals are done, you're gonna pass, all your grades are good, all that stuff like that. And with the Orioles, we're at the end of the season, and we kind of have already seen everything that we needed to see. We see Samuel Basallo on the roster. We see Dylan Beavers on the roster. After the trade deadline, we knew that we were going to be trading everybody. We knew that this season was going to be kind of punted away, but kind of looking forward to 2026. And we see Dylan Beavers on the roster. We see Samuel Basallo on the roster. We see Jeremiah Jackson on the roster. We see Kyle Bradish pitching. We see I was about to say Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Rogers continuing to dominate. So we see all this stuff going on. For Orioles fans, obviously this last month or so has kind of just been gearing up and waiting for 2026, but just watching players develop. Guys like Jackson Holiday continue to develop. Guys like Dylan Beavers, guys like Samuel Basallo, seeing Kyle Bradish pitch again, seeing Tyler Wells pitch again. Like that's kind of been the entire vibe of this last month for the Orioles, and that's what it's going to be like for the next couple of weeks. So again, the Orioles win 4-1 today over the White Sox. We're still going to continue to cover every single Orioles game over these next couple of weeks, but after that, we're probably going to be taking a halt on Orioles baseball stuff unless there's any sort of news that comes out, and we're going to be focusing fully on the Ravens until probably the off season for baseball, until that starts and free agents start signing and stuff like that. But any sort of major Orioles news and any sort of Orioles news in general that's any sort of impactful, we're obviously going to go over and talk about in Birds of a Feather. But just kind of like a fair warning for the people that watch this podcast for baseball. I'm sure the people that watch this podcast for baseball also do watch the Ravens. And if y'all do, then great. Obviously, Birds of a Feather is the best place to go for your, recaps of games, news, and all that stuff. So make sure to keep tuning in. But baseball season is over, and it's not over. Sorry, it's almost over, but it is a little bit sad. We've seen some good and some bad this season regarding the Orioles. We've seen some high highs and some extremely, extremely low lows. And we're going to be going over all of that at the season recap at the end of the year. It's going to be a long, long, long episode, kind of just recapping everything that's gone on this season from start to finish. And we are here almost at the finish line for the Orioles season. So, again, it's a little sad that we're at the end, but at the same time, there is a lot of hope and a lot of promise for 2026. We've seen a lot of good things for 2026, and I cannot wait for Orioles baseball next year because I know it's going to be a lot more hopeful, and I'm sure and I hope that it's going to be a lot better than it was in 2025. But let's just go over this Orioles game. So going over this Orioles and White Sox game, obviously the Orioles win this game 4-1 over the Chicago White Sox. The Orioles record now moves to 70-80 on the year. They are 10 games below 500. They are 150 games through the season. They do have 12 more games remaining. I think the Orioles play every single day until the end of the season. So we're going to be talking about Orioles baseball every single day up until the final day of the year. Obviously, this is a daily Baltimore sports podcast, so we go over everything daily anyway. But The Orioles do have 12 games remaining, and I'm pretty sure they only have 4 more series left this year. So it's getting down to the end of it. It's getting down to the final countdown of this Orioles season. But going over this game for the Orioles, again, the Orioles win 4-1 over the White Sox. On offense, they went 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They left 8 guys on base. They had 7 total hits in this game and scored 4 runs on those 7 hits. They had 1 home run hit in this game by Colton Cowser. And going over this offense, if you look at the batting order of this game, things have kind of moved dramatically from the start of the year. Not dramatically, but they have moved quite a bit. But Jackson Holliday, what we've learned is Jackson Holliday is going to be the leadoff for the foreseeable future. And in the month of September, Jackson Holliday has played amazing over this month of September so far. Today he went 2 for 4 with a walk in this game. He had 3 total. He was on base 3 total times in this game and 5 total at bats. So Jackson Holliday, he was a beast. 2 hits, 1 walk, a .255 batting average. And if we actually go and look here at his month of September, it's been great. It's been amazing in the month of September for Jackson Holliday. And in the month of September, and again, we talked about this at the end of August. We talked about this exact thing. Jackson Holliday in August did struggle. He had a 184 batting average in the month of August, and he was really struggling that month. He was struggling to get on base. He was struggling to get hits, and he also had 1 home run that entire month. So it was a big struggle for Jackson Holliday in the month of August. And, I was kind of saying that I really hope to see Jackson Holliday kind of end off this last month of the season in September on a high note heading into 2026 and heading into the offseason for the Orioles. And Jackson Holliday, I don't know if he's listening to the podcast. I don't know if he's getting some sort of motivation, but Jackson Holliday, he has gone out there and done exactly that. His batting average went from a .245 at the beginning of the month of September, and here on the 15th, his batting average rose up all the way to a .255. So his batting average has gone up a whole, pretty much like 0.10 points. So shout out to Jackson Holliday. He's been amazing. He's batting a .341 in the month of September with a .438 on base percentage and a .512 slug with a .950 OPS. So Jackson Holliday has been amazing in the month of September, and he's gotten a hit, I think, in 14 of 15 games, he's gotten at least 1 hit. So that's incredible. That's exactly what you want to see from your leadoff hitter. So shout out to Jackson Holliday. He's been great this month, and I'm really glad to see him starting to really heat up at the end of this month and at the end of the season, because obviously, hopefully, he can carry that momentum into spring training and then into next season, and then he can also have another big leap in 2026. But Jackson Holliday had a great day today. Jeremiah Jackson went 1 for 4 in this game with an RBI and a walk. Jeremiah Jackson continues to hit the ball well. His average has gone down just a little bit based on what it was. It was sitting at a 330, 320, 310 for a while. Did have some bad games in a row here, stacked up a couple bad games on offense, but his batting average is still sitting at a .284. He's still been elite this season, and he's been somebody who's been honestly one of the biggest surprises for the Orioles this year is Jeremiah Jackson. I don't think a lot of people really expected him to come in and just play as well as he has, and now Jeremiah Jackson is a player who I really want to have a big role on this team going into next season, whether that's a starting outfielder, whether that's a rotational player, whatever it is. Jeremiah Jackson has proved that he deserves to be here. And Jeremiah Jackson is someone who can, play third base. He can play the outfield. We can DH if he needs to. He is somebody who can kind of do it all, and that's such a key part of your team, especially as a rotational guy. So Jeremiah Jackson, I expect to hopefully have a big role in 2026 as well. Gunnar Henderson went 0 for 4 in this game. Gunnar Henderson, kind of like the opposite here of what Jackson Holliday has been doing. Gunnar Henderson in the month of September has not been great. He's batting a 162 in the month of September. It's not been going great for not Jackson Holliday. It's not been going great for Gunnar Henderson. A 162 batting average in the month of September. In August, he was doing really good, a 260. He had a 311 batting average in July, a 260 batting average in August, and then here in September has not really been doing great here in this final month of the season. A 162 batting average, doesn't have a home run this month. And if we want to talk about home runs with Gunnar Henderson, it's probably definitely been one of the most disappointing parts of his game this year is that Gunnar Henderson's home run numbers have completely plummeted from what they were last year. Last year, Gunnar Henderson had 37 home runs on the year. He had the most home runs in all of baseball up until the All-Star break. And Gunnar Henderson was somebody who looked like he was poised to hit 40 home runs last season, and he hit 37, and he was somebody who going into this year you kind of thought was like a 30 to 35 home run lock. And Gunnar Henderson has 16 home runs this season, which is quite a big drop off from what it was last year. And obviously, there's half a month left of the MLB season. But whatever Gunnar Henderson does over this next half month, it's still going to be disappointing from a home run standpoint. And he just hasn't been able to get the ball out of the park. He hasn't been hitting the ball. He hasn't been elevating the ball as much. He's been hitting the ball hard still, but it's been more on the ground, not necessarily being elevated. And I do expect Gunnar Henderson to have a bounce back year next year, because when you look at Gunnar Henderson as a whole, obviously, he's looked at as a superstar, as a young superstar-like player, especially after the past 2 years. And this year was definitely a big down year for him. And there's a lot of doubts creeping in about, can he really be a franchise leader? Can he be a franchise player? Which I do believe that he can be, but I do think that Gunnar Henderson is going to need to have a big bounce back year next year to really kind of prove to the Orioles and to everybody else that he can be that franchise player. Not to say that he's not a franchise player right now, but he has had a pretty disappointing year overall for the Orioles. And I'm just going to be honest with it. In the month of September, his average has gone down. It's making his average on the season not look amazing. A .269 batting average, not horrible, not like Gunnar Henderson like we know, but not also horrible as well. But again, the home run numbers are the big thing that does stand out in Gunnar Henderson's stats, is the home run numbers, him being, it's down so much. But I do think Gunnar Henderson will be good. I do think that we have a bounce back year next year and kind of lead this Orioles team in a better way. Not in a better way, but, just lead this Orioles team to the promised land, which is what we want, which is what we expect from someone who we consider a franchise player. But he has had a down year, and that's okay. We expect Gunnar Henderson to hopefully bounce back next season, and hopefully he can finish out these next couple of weeks and start doing pretty good and maybe raise this average up a little bit. But going over to Tyler O'Neill, 1 for 4 on the game. If we talk about Tyler, I don't want to go into people's seasons, because again, we're going to do that in the season recap. We're going to do that in the season recap episode. I don't want to sit here and kind of talk about people's seasons as a whole. So we'll kind of wait on Tyler O'Neill. There's a lot to kind of say about his season. Actually, really, there's not really much to say because he really hasn't played that much. But Tyler O'Neill goes 1 for 4 in this game. Ryan Mountcastle goes 1 for 4 in this game. Dylan Beavers goes 0 for 4. Kobe Mayo goes 0 for 1 with 2 walks and a run scored. Samo Basayo goes 1 for 3 with 2 runs and a walk. And Colton Cowser goes 1 for 4 with a 3-run home run. The only hit he had in this game was a 3-run home run that ended up being the go-ahead 3-run home run, and now the Orioles get the win thanks to Colton Cowser and thanks to this pitching. And speaking of the pitching, Kyle Bradish goes out here, gets the win in this game, gets the first win of the season, his first win since returning from Tommy John surgery. And Kyle Bradish had an amazing game. He did only get through 5 innings of work in this game, but he did get kind of worked a little bit. 88 pitches through 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, 4 walks, 1 run, and had 9 strikeouts across 5 innings. The walks are a little bit high, the hits or whatever, but the walks are a little bit high. 4 walks is a little bit much for someone like Kyle Bradish. Gave up 4 hits, 4 walks, only 1 run, and had 9 strikeouts. So he did a good job stranding the bases and getting through traffic. So shout out to Kyle Bradish. He gets the win. He has a 2.45 ERA through, I think, 3 starts now this year. And Kyle Bradish just looks like the locked and loaded ace that we know that he is going into next season. Next is Cade Stroud. He got through 1 inning, 2 strikeouts, no hits, no runs, no walks, did great. And then Dentrich Ends got through the final 3 innings of work in this game. And shout out to Dietrich Ends, man. He has been pretty great for the Orioles since he's come over here from Detroit. But in this game, he pitched the final 3 innings of this game out of the bullpen. 0 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, and 4 strikeouts. He was perfect through the final 3 innings and ended up kind of closing the door on this game for the Orioles. So shout out to him. So great win for the Orioles. Back to being 10 games below 500, a 70-80 record. Obviously, we're in the final 12 games of the year. We are approaching the end, but it is nice to see the Orioles hit that 70-win mark on the season with everything that's gone on this year. But there is some bad news regarding the Orioles, and it's not necessarily bad news. We kind of expected it for a while, but I think tomorrow, if the Orioles lose tomorrow, then they're officially eliminated. But if some certain things happen with other teams, I do think that here in the next couple of days, the Orioles will officially be eliminated from the playoffs. Which, whenever MLB on Fox or ESPN posts that Orioles eliminated graphic, it is going to sting just a little bit. But at the end of the day, we all kind of expected it. It's not like it's a huge deal in the world. We've kind of already accepted everything that's gone on with the Orioles. We've had multiple crash out episodes throughout this entire season, and it's been an absolute journey. It's been a big journey this year. But I've had a ton of fun doing it, obviously, and I cannot wait to keep going next season and obviously going over everything this offseason. Obviously, the Orioles are going to be getting a GM, talking about everything going on this offseason. Any sort of big news we're still going to go over regarding the Orioles, but we are kind of counting down these final 12 games of the season. But this episode isn't too long today. Just wanted to go over Orioles stuff, kind of talked about some Ravens stuff earlier on in the episode, but we will talk about the Ravens a lot more this week once we have more news. Once they get more practices in, we'll talk about every practice, recaps and stuff like that. Any sort of quotes, any sort of things to talk about, we'll go over. And then obviously on Sunday, we'll go over a game preview for Monday's game against Detroit. But Ravens football's here. Orioles baseball is coming to its closing, final couple of weeks, or really less than 2 weeks now. But Ravens football is here, so that is also very exciting. So if you like this content, if you like this show, make sure to keep tuning in to Birds of a Feather. Make sure to tune in to the show still, because we're still going to be going over everything Ravens related and also everything Orioles related. But, Orioles content is going to be kind of, not going on too much because, it's the off season. But yeah. And again, thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow up on Spotify. Make sure to click the link in the bio as well to check out the Instagram and the Twitter. I post live updates on Twitter for everything that goes on in Orioles and Ravens games, and also any live updates and news of anything going on there. And also on Instagram, I post updates on every single time I upload an episode. So make sure to give those a follow. I would greatly appreciate it. And at the end of the episode, just kind of wanted to talk about some stuff for this week, kind of the schedule for this week. Going to be going over every sort of Ravens practice, any sort of news from that, any info that we get from the Ravens, any reports, any practice reports, all that stuff we're going to go over, and then we're going to be doing that all week. And then on Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, we're going to do a game preview, going over the game against the Lions. It's going to be a great game, going to be a very high-scoring game probably, primetime Monday Night Football, going to be a lot of fun in Baltimore, wearing our blackout uniforms. Going to be a lot of fun. So that's kind of the schedule for this week based on the Ravens. And then for the Orioles, I think the Orioles do play every single day this week. So obviously we're going to be going over and covering every single Orioles game, just recapping the game in general. And as I said at the beginning of this episode, this Orioles season is kind of at the end. It's kind of like end of the school year vibes. We're almost at the end. And again, I would just say this now. I'll say this probably 100 more times as we go over this stuff in the next couple of weeks, but I really do appreciate y'all, the people that's been really sticking around, watching these episodes and going over the season with me, because it's been a long season. I mean, this was the Orioles' 150th game of the year, and we've had an episode covering every single Orioles game this season, and I started this podcast on the day of opening day. Opening day was was episode 1 of the show, was opening day. And we've been going strong 150 games later. Obviously, this is episode 156 because we've also had some other episodes to go over, some Ravens news and stuff like that as well, and also some other, bonus episodes, here on there. But for the most part, when we cover Orioles content, we'd also cover Ravens content in the same episode. It's kind of split. For the people who like football can watch the football. People who like the Orioles can watch the Orioles. But the people who like both, who I'm sure is most of y'all who like both the Ravens and the Orioles, can watch, the episodes in general. So again, I appreciate all the support. There's going to be some big changes coming soon. Going to be some big things coming up, and I really am excited to showcase it to y'all. It's going to be worth it, I promise y'all. Again, I've had a ton of fun doing the show. It's not going to end anytime soon. I plan on doing this for as long as I can, as long as, whoever lets me. So, again, at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. The Orioles season has been a lot of fun. And yeah, it's sad. It's sad that it's at the end. It's sad that it's almost done. But, I'm taking too long on this outro. Again, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. You have a great sales day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see you later. Peace out.